Minnesota Vikings running back Adrian Peterson won't be playing today against the New England Patriots. The team deactivated him after a Montgomery County grand jury indicted the Pro Bowler on child abuse charges Friday. Photos posted on TMZ.com show the extent of the injuries Peterson's 4-year-old boy sustained after he was hit with a tree branch, or a switch as he calls it, as punishment. Peterson admits to using the branch during the boy's visit back in May. Peterson's attorney says he disciplined the boy the way he was disciplined growing up. But did he go too far and abuse him? That's our topic this half hour, and we want to hear from you. You can weigh in on our Fox 26 Facebook page and on Twitter. Be sure to use the hashtag Fox26forlife. In our newsroom right now, we have our legal analyst, Chris Tritico, our news analyst, Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst, Jackie Bally. All right, Chris, as a parent, you have the right to use corporal punishment. What's at issue here, correct me if I'm wrong, is what's reasonable discipline. So based on the law, do you see him getting off?
Well, Texas law sets up a defense, and let's go ahead and look at that now. I was going to look at it later, but let's go ahead and look at that now. Texas law sets up a defense to these types of charges. If you're a parent, you have the right to use reasonable discipline, not including deadly force, but you have the right to use force to reasonably discipline your child. And so when Adrian Peterson spanks his child using this switch, he has the right to do that as reasonable discipline. And so what we have to talk about now is what the jury has to weigh is what's reasonable and what's not. What Adrian said in these text messages, I think, is what provides him the best defense, is I was using the switch and I was spanking him. I didn't mean for the switch to get around on the side the way it did. And so I think that's where his defense is gonna rest on, is that part of the law. And the jury has to look at it from the standpoint of Adrian Peterson at the time that he was administering this punishment. So the question becomes for a jury, Mustafa Tamiz, is what's reasonable and what's not reasonable from Adrian Peterson's eyes, not looking at it in hindsight.
And it's going to be hard to tell until you see all the facts come out of this, especially when you deal with these family law issues and you have different people involved. We don't know what the mom's going to say. We don't know what the neighbor's going to say and what's going to come out in emails and texts. So we'll see. The larger issue that I think is worth talking about is what's the epidemic of child abuse in our country. Almost 4 kids a day die because of neglect or child abuse. 3 million kids are impacted by it every year, at least, and it's something that's not reported. So we all have to get better educated in how we handle these things, and sometimes looking at these type of issues gives us an opportunity to talk about that. You know,
Jackie, we've been talking off the air about the way we have changed as a society.
Sure.
You know, I was administered corporal punishment, as I told you, on numerous occasions in both school and at home. We don't have time for that. But you know, we have gotten away from corporal punishment in our schools. There's very few schools that do that anymore. Parents have gotten away from using corporal punishment to a large extent. And is that part of what Adrian's problem is?
Yeah, I think every child is different. I was asked last night, you have 2 boys, do you hit them? I've never touched my boys, but that's because they haven't really done anything to warrant that. And Adrian, you said it correctly. His defense, or his text messages, he clearly stated he thought he was doing the right thing. This is how I was raised. And even more importantly, when the officers came to his house, he gave them more information because he really genuinely feels this is my role as a parent, and he was doing the right thing. And I think that's why his defense is going to be strong. Rusty Hardin's a great attorney. And to answer Sally's question, I do think he'll get off.
Well, the pictures were shocking. There's no question about that. And nobody's suggesting that that we agree with the type of punishment, but the question is a legal one. Sally?
Yeah, let's check in on Twitter, guys, because of course the reaction to this is just all over the map. Ben says the pics taken days later that have been posted on TMZ show Peterson abused the child in his mind. Sports Radio 610's Nick Wright says his statement sounds like it's from a father who truly believes he's done nothing wrong, loves his son, and is sorry it went too far. Michael says Peterson's suspended for using a switch. Good thing my parents weren't NFL players. And then Clark says, when I saw the Peterson headline, I was like, they tripping. Then I read what he did, and I was like, nah, he went too far. But guys, again, if it was done to us as children, it doesn't mean legally we have the right to do it to our children, right? And again, we're talking about a 4-year-old. And I don't claim to be an expert in parenting, but I have an almost 4-year-old child, and everything that I've read in books and been taught is you redirect them, maybe a timeout, but I don't understand how hitting a child is an answer at that young of an age.
And and you know, Sally, you just highlighted, I think, the crux to this entire case. And as Jackie and I were talking about, we've changed as a society. When I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, corporal punishment was the way you punished your children. And me and my 2 brothers were not we were good kids. We loved our parents, but we were also in trouble all the time. And I got swats every day. But we have changed the society. We redirect, and we don't do that anymore. Can we pull that graphic up? Can we pull that graphic up? That shows the defense that you have in Texas. And you don't have to agree with Adrian Peterson, but we have to look at the defense that Texas law provides.
I think all of our children are different, and I think our parenting skills has to be developed around our children. My sons are different from his sons. In the explanation that he gave in his text message, he said his son did A, B, and C. I do believe if his son did do those things, that he needed to be redirected, as Sally said. Sometimes timeout doesn't work. Sometimes hitting them on the bottom doesn't work. I think it just depends on the child, and it depends on the parenting skills. One thing we didn't touch on that we've been hearing from two different stories. Adrian's camp says that this is the second time that they tried to indict him. For the first time, it was dismissed, or no bill. No bill. And then Montgomery County saying that's not true. So that's going to come into play as this develops as well.
Real quick.
This is serious, right? Because I think you do have to start drawing the lines. And we used to think the world was flat. It's not. It's round. And how we parent kids have an impact not only our own kids, but as a society. And you're seeing more and more people in jail and other places that have a history of abuse, and we've got to stop it. You
know, Sally, Phil Grant, the first assistant in Montgomery County, said that he agrees that he has the right to discipline, but this went too far. That's where the case falls. Is what is too much? How much is too much discipline? That's where this case is going to be tried.
Yep, and we'll hear all of the evidence in court eventually, so we'll have to wait for that. We certainly don't know the whole story yet. All right, thanks, guys. We appreciate it.